I live in downtown Seattle, and my view is of the waterfront. And this is the last cargo ship coming in for a long, long, long time. Ugh.
Have you guys seen the ports? If you haven't seen the ports, go ahead and look in your search bar for Los Angeles ports or Seattle ports, because it is being reported they're an absolute ghost town. And the last ships are coming in at the end of this month. And on the East Coast, it's not getting any better. The last ship coming in from China is targeted for May 10th. And if you look at ports in China, the largest port in China, it is an active, busy hub. So it shows you it's not something that's sweeping the globe here. This is not COVID. This is more directed. This is direct effect of Donald Trump and his tariffs. And I'm not going to come in here and fearmonger and say we're not going to have anything, but you better believe if ships are not docking and they are not taking goods off those ships and they are shipping empty, 40+% of ships are shipping like empty or close to empty. What do you think that's going to happen? The only logical conclusion is there are going to be less goods on the shelves. And it's not only going to be, your toys and electronics and things that you can get by without during a recession. It's going to be food, vegetables, fruits, grains, all sorts of things like that we import. We import a lot of beef and pork and things like that. Even though we have it here, we also import a lot of food as well, a lot of other meats from other countries. And you're going to see a drastic change in the next coming month. In the grocery store, in the retail shop, Walmart CEOs, Target, Home Depot, those CEOs sat down with Trump and said, look, the shelves are going to be barren. We are going to be in a huge issue. And even if he stops the tariffs today and says, oh boy, it was a huge mistake, that doesn't just turn around. So I myself am going to be going to Costco and buying some of those staples, making sure I have a big ass bag of rice, some beans, toilet paper, whatever. I'm not saying panic shop, don't panic shop, but just make sure maybe you buy an extra of what you normally buy. Get yourself a little bit of extra shelf-stable foods so that you make sure you have something, because these ports, they're empty. That's not hyperbole. That's not fear-mongering. That's just the truth. And two, you're not going to have those things on the shelf. We're not getting them in from these countries. When the ports are empty, the shelves will be empty. And this is all thanks to one man and his stubborn ignorance, just absolute nonsense, and having no understanding of how anything works in this world. We saw it the first time around and we knew it was going to be worse the next time. So here we go. Welcome to Trump's world.
America is about to learn how good we actually used to have it. The ports are empty. Food isn't coming in. Goods are not coming in. Everyone who works in the shipping industry is saying we are about to face a crisis much bigger than the empty shelves during COVID. We have felt entitled in this country to freedom, to democracy, to human rights, to unlimited food and crap to buy. We got lazy and we did nothing to maintain those freedoms and those rights. We assumed that other people would do it. We stopped valuing our own education. We stopped reading. We stopped being kind to other people. We got completely hell-bent on having more stuff, on having more money, on having more whatever, having more fucking Botox in our faces. It's a false ladder that we were taught to climb. And I don't know if this current iteration of Americans has it in them to survive the Great Depression, Part 2. But I don't know if we're going to have a choice, babe.
Seattle shipping port is empty. So is LA. It looks like that's the three main shipping ports on the West Coast. They are no longer getting international shipments. The last one is scheduled for tomorrow. This is going to have huge implications for our economy Really quickly and also long term, we are probably going to face one of the biggest economic recessions we've seen in probably over a century. This is going to be really bad, especially with all of the migrant labor that we rely on now being gone. If farms can't harvest, if people can't ship things in and out, if truck drivers can't pick up deliveries, our entire system crashes. We are going to see food shortages, empty shelves, job losses, and even higher inflation with all these tariffs. It's going to be pretty crazy. In like 3 to 6 months, we're really going to start feeling this really hard as the harvest isn't being harvested, as retail stores aren't having any inventory and go out of business. This is going to affect mostly middle class, lower class Americans. Rents are going to go up even more. Mortgages are going to go up. It's going to get harder to get loans. And we are going to see huge layoffs. It's time to start channeling your grandma who survived the Great Depression. Start your garden. Start learning canning. Buy a bidet. Switch from paper to cloth products. Shop locally. This is probably going to be a lot worse than what we saw during COVID. And the fucked up thing is the people at the top with all the money aren't going to be hurt by this. It's going to be us. And while everything is skyrocketing in price and while everything is crumbling apart, they're going to snatch up all these stocks as they plummet so they can buy super low and get even more money in the future. They are manufacturing an economic crisis that will hurt middle class and lower class Americans the hardest while they boost their fortunes. There is so much manufacturing of an economic crisis. This is all avoidable. But yet, here we are. Washington people, listen up. This is really fucking big. There are no international ships at the shipping ports in Seattle right now, and the last one is scheduled for the 29th. That means that major supply chain issues are gonna start happening really fucking soon and really fast. Basics, household items, things that we buy every day that are from international areas, China, Canada, Mexico, Central America, like we get all over Asia, we get so much stuff, Europe too, from other countries, and we are seeing no international ships. Shelves are going to empty, and we aren't going to be able to get those things back very quickly, and prices are going to go up like crazy, and small businesses, large businesses, all sorts of people that rely on imports and exports are going to see huge changes, and not for the better, really soon. So if there's some essentials that you need, get those, but also remember, shop local, support your community, support your neighbors. And if you need to give money to somebody to get something, support the people in this area that need it during this time, because this is going to hit us financially so hard. Like, the consequences are hard to even picture. It's so huge. So prepare as you need to.
I just saw a comment from a supply chain worker, and if you're not panicking yet, you really should be. They said, I work in supply chain on the phone all day yesterday with American and Chinese companies, freight forwarders, manufacturers, on and on. The USA is in massive, massive trouble. Massive. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is someone who's in it. He's talking to the people who move your food, your medicine, your fuel every single day, and they're waving a red flag so big it could block out the sun. Empty cargo ships, slowed imports, delays, cancellations, and prices that are about to explode again. This is how collapses start. First the system slows, then it snaps, and we are right on the edge. Follow me for the truth. They won't say on the news because the people who work in the system are already screaming. They are begging you to pay attention. And if we don't listen now, it's going to be too damn late.
Okay, so we all remember I don't know, June, July, August of 2020, right? When when supply chain shit really started to set in, and we started to have trouble just getting regular everyday things. What we're about to experience is going to be far worse than that, and it's retaliatory. I hope we understand that this is China checking America's ego, 100%. And so, you keep hearing about how the ports are empty. Well, that's all the parts to build all the stuff. There's produce, there's all these things that come in overseas. You hear repeatedly, built in the USA from globally sourced materials. So a lot of those materials are coming from China. And the ports being empty means that those materials aren't coming here. So the first thing that happens is manufacturing slows dramatically, layoffs, because, well, we don't have the stuff to build the stuff, and we're not going to pay you to sit here to do nothing. And it just trickles down from there. The fast food restaurants, they start having to cut hours because, right, nobody's eating out anymore because they can't afford to. It just goes so deep. And now you see what's happening in Spain. We need to take a lesson from that because, man, if there was a time to attack us, if Russia or one of them wanted to attack us and our infrastructure, well, let's do it while they have no supply chain, while they can't get any globally sourced materials. Let's cut their power grid. And we know they can do that because they're hackers. They've been educating their people for 30 years, 40 years. We've heard tales of, I used to play video games, Command and Conquer, and that's all they talked about was hacking our shit to get into our defense systems and our infrastructure. And so the first thing they got to do is hack into our infrastructure, and we're boned. This is what y'all wanted, so I guess here's the find out part.
I'm gonna try to record this. This is like the third time without being interrupted. So I was listening to Hassan Pike this morning about the empty shelves and that the ports are gonna be empty coming soon. And he was calling it the tsunami. And he's not joking when he says that, because if you look at it, once those last cargo ships come, that's it. It's done. Once they get to store shelves, that is it. And the fact that this is being compared worse than COVID is scary as shit. There's gonna be so much job loss, not job growth that our Trump keeps on touting. And the fact that the first people that are gonna get laid off are your transportation people. So it's going to be like your trucking industry, your FedEx, your UPS, your people that work on the ports laid off. And then eventually people in the automotive industry will be laid off. And then it'll trickle down to your retail and your fast food and restaurants. Yeah, dude, this is a scary time. And I'm trying to keep calm in this, but I know the outcome that's going to be probably, because I remember COVID and those grocery store shelves were crazy and the prices were insane. And the fact like we're going to that path, if not worse, is more crazy. I don't know, man. I think this is the turning point, though. The only good outcome of this problem is that you're going to see a lot of Republicans, a lot of Trump voters, and then, of course, all the Democratic Party try to get Trump out, in all honest opinion, because he's going to tank the economy. I mean, there's going to be a shit ton of job loss, and affordability at the grocery store is not going to be a thing. So with that being said, I think a lot of his supporters are going to be like, I didn't vote for this. I didn't vote for my job to be loss or me be laid off or until further notice, or I didn't expect my groceries to be this high, or if not higher, or now I can't get this special item at the grocery store because you don't know when it's going to come in, that kind of thing. And it's going to be a turning point for Trump. It's going to be a thing that's going to implode in his face, and I'm here for it. I think this is going to be the turning point, but at the same time, it's going to do so much damage to us as Americans and the economy. It is going to be so bad. But with that being said, I hope everyone keeps a positive outlook, maybe, or just keep your head on a swivel. And one more thing. Can we stop giving Kevin O'Leary, or the guy from Shark Tank, a platform? Because he was just on CNN and he was touting that he loves all these people being poor, that he loves this because it makes them want to try to be the 1%. Like, bro, I don't ever want to be a 1%. Give me enough money, like, I don't know, $500,000, and I'll stretch that shit out until I retire. I don't need to be making millions of dollars. I never wanted that. I don't think any American wants that. And if they do, I would hope they reinvested it in their community. But this dude is like crazy to say that he loves all these people being poor. And people idolize this guy because they want to become the 1%. Dude, I don't know. This world that we live in, and this timeline, is so fucked up. All I gotta say is keep your head on a swivel, try to keep positive. Let's hope that we can make it out of this.
Not just the West Coast ports, it's the East Coast ports too. This one's in Boston. This is well under half the normal volume that you normally see at this port as far as containers go. It's gonna hit us soon. Everybody gotta get ready. It's gonna get bad.
The U.S. ports are empty, and that's obviously because of the tariffs. And so I'm just counting down the days till people start going crazy in the grocery stores. Like, if the grocery stores are going to have less and less product because now everyone is aware that the ports are empty, meaning no product is coming in, so the shelves are going to start to, not be replenished. Yeah, people are going to start going in there and going crazy. Now, whether they buy the items in bulk and, do that whole thing, or they just grab the items and run the fuck out of the store, I don't know. But I'm not really blaming anyone regardless, because this is what the fuck happens. Like, the tariffs have literally caused the ports to be empty. If the ports are empty, let's just context clues, that must mean that there's not going to be anything to put on the shelves, because there's nothing at the ports to collect, to take to the stores in order to stock the shelves with. There's nothing there. The U.S. ports are empty. Here the fuck we are. I don't know if I'm going to have to start growing shit and learning how to farm and shit. Like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm just seeing the pattern right now, and it's not looking cute. Nothing in the U.S. ports, bitch. I think the people are about to go crazy in these stores. I really do.
What are the consequences of the fact that there's no ships coming in to the biggest port on the West Coast? The port in LA is reporting that there are no ships with shipping containers. The port is basically empty. And the same thing has happened in Seattle. And this happened pretty quickly, right? The tariffs came in and people are not ordering anything, and people who have ordered things have canceled their orders. And the implications for this are mainly for the American economy right now. China has lots of flexibility to be able to handle this. They can give grants to companies and things like that because they are running their economy very differently, and they also don't have the same sort of debt load that the Americans are facing. But the implications for this are just catastrophic for the U.S. I mean, the first one that we can see right away is for truckers. There are reports that the truckers, the level of demand right now is the same as for Thanksgiving, U.S. Thanksgiving and Christmas Day, which is the lowest of the year, and that is every day. So you're going to see truckers laid off, you're going to see port workers laid off, and the cascading effect obviously through that local economy will happen fairly quickly, because those people are not going to have the money to be able to spend, and it's going to affect the real estate in those places as well. But think about the stores and the companies that need components to manufacture things. There's all sorts of things that are manufactured in the U.S. using components that come from overseas, and then people who need tools. Most of the tools are manufactured in the States, in China. You need those tools. You need them to be relatively inexpensive so you can run your business. And so the cascading effect of this will be, of course, a decline in the economy, and you probably see some readjustment in certain prices, because there'll be very little competition for it. So, there's all of these cancellations of meat orders going to China, which is going to affect the price of beef and pork, and all of those things are going to drop for Americans. And that's wonderful for Americans, except it's going to put a lot of farmers out of business, because they're already selling at very low margins to start with. So you'll see some economic decline, which will in some sectors lead to deflationary pressures, but for the most part, you're just going to see economy slipping into failure mode, and the worst recession ever, because it's not just some sort of over exuberance or something like that in some sector or another. It's actually just pulling the fundamentals out of the economy and throwing it into collapse. And this is just the start. I made a TikTok a few weeks ago saying, get prepared. In a couple of weeks, you're going to start seeing shortages of things on store shelves. And when there's no ships coming from China, you're going to see shortages of things on store shelves happening really quickly now, because they rely on very tight schedules for things. It's really, computers are making the orders. When something is sold in a store, an order goes to the head office, and it automatically goes to the supplier in China. And when they cut that off a few weeks back, when the tariffs were first imposed, that was the end of those replacement orders coming in for things that are on the store shelves. So things that you need that are like hard goods manufactured in China, and that's most of what you need. If you're in the US, you should be going and buying it now. Of course, in Canada, this isn't affecting us at all, because we're not putting any weird tariffs on things coming from China. But when you see a harbor that has no ships, and a busy port like LA and Seattle with nothing on the dock, I can tell you that's worse than anything we experienced in the pandemic, and it's completely self-inflicted.